Now, a game that I watched in its entirety the other night was that Hornets Wizards matchup, the second between the two in just a week. I actually had a big game breakdown of it on my Patreon. And so I'd like to go into detail on what I saw here. I think the storyline is Lamelo Ball is taking the next step. And it's funny because we always say it as if it's already happened. Oh, Ant-Man has taken the step. Ja has taken the leap, made the leap, right? It's in the process of happening. I think that the Hornets have decided, all right, this is officially LaMelo's team. We're going to give him the keys down the stretch. We're going to put the ball in his hands pretty much all the time when he's out there. And it's been mixed results. I know he made a ton of floaters late in that game that were clutch, but what I see when he gets downhill is he shies away from contact. He doesn't want to get to the line, and it makes his finishing suspect. You see, he likes to take that long stride and hold the ball out with his right hand, and he kind of just tries to swoop in and finish right hand. That's kind of his only move downhill. And so I think the next step for LaMelo in this process is he's got to learn to change directions once he gets in the paint and use some sort of counter move to the left because they're sitting on that right hand, and then he has the tendency to pick the ball up early. Again, because he's so long, but you see teams playing that corner or the dunker spot, understanding like, yo, we're just going to give him this floater. Because I looked at the stat. So he shoots like respectively 0 to 3 feet in, essentially at the rim. He's like at 54%. But then 3 to 10 feet in that weird floater push shot range that he shoots, he's at 34%. And so, that's an area he's going to have to clean up. And much like Halliburton, right? His pickup is funny. So he doesn't have a natural mid-range pulley. But I think that Charlotte's doing the right thing, right? You saw Plumlee foul out of that game late for the 4th time this season. They've got to find a better pick and roll big for him. I know PJ Washington's their stretch 5. He's not playing. But, Plumlee, I understand his value. He does the dirty work. He hustles. He's an energy guy. But you wonder if Charlotte can make a move. We talked about Valanciunas. And then it got me to thinking like, yo, maybe James Wiseman, those two, the 2 and 3, the 2nd and 3rd pick in the draft. That'd be a nice partner for him. Pick and pop, roll to the rim. Their timetables are the same. But I digress. Let's get back to this game. Terry Rozier got going, right? He had been really struggling coming off that ankle injury. I kind of like the pairing between them. Now, obviously, you'd love for Rozier to be 6'4", right? You'd always love for a player to be a little bigger when they're an undersized guard. But conceptually, it kind of works in the sense that you can hide LaMelo defensively a little bit because to ask LaMelo to guard like smaller lead ball handlers, that's tough at his size. I know he's a pretty sneaky long defender, but he has a hard time getting around screens and chasing little guys. So Rozier, it allows Melo to not guard necessarily the lead ball handler each night. And then he's a heat check artist. I think they got a nice little chemistry together. They do. As far as Washington goes, look, Kyle Kuzma's outfit offended me just like everybody else. And the funniest part about the video that people kind of neglected was that he had to open the door with his chest, right? Because he didn't have sleeves. He didn't have his arms in his sleeves. But yeah, look, Kuzma, for all the shit we give him, he's become a very nice player. And what I didn't realize was how good of a playmaker he's become as a secondary attacker. Dinwiddie and Beal put all the pressure on the defense, and they get into the paint and kick, and then he can attack from the weak side. He's very good off just like a rip through in one dribble. Kuzma's one of those guys where 1-2 dribbles is best for him, but he's dropping it off. He's become a consistent defender. And yeah, man, I see it. He is a big part of why Washington is playing well and overachieving at this point in the season. Now, stylistically, styles make fights. The Hornets have beat this Wizards team twice in a week. And I think it's their switchability and length. You saw it particularly bother Spencer Dinwiddie because Dinwiddie is one of those longer guards who he kind of preys on mismatches, right? And there's just not a lot of mismatches for him to attack on this Charlotte team. They've got a ton of length. And Oubre, McDaniels, what's the twin that they have, right? They've got this length everywhere. And so I thought that stylistically, I think it bothers them. If this is a potential playoff matchup or play-in matchup, you have to favor Charlotte stylistically. Again, it's just a tough matchup with the caveat that Washington is getting Rui Hachimura and Bertans back. I think Thomas Bryant back. So Washington isn't as complete as they should be. But I think both of these teams now, all of a sudden, clear playoff competitors, I'll say. Do they make a move here to bolster their roster? Denny Advia coming along. I'd like to see them use him at the 5. Use a little more of his ball skills. He's probably their best defending big. You saw Montrezl Harrell late in that game just completely blow the help defense and let Melo swoop to the rim, which was really like Rozier hit the dagger. But Melo was dominant in that fourth quarter. And you watch Trez, and he's just a limp noodle with help defense. For all that energy and action he has on the glass offensively, he just stands and watches. He doesn't have any team defense. But I guess my concern for Charlotte, or something that I would point out, was Miles Bridges, 6 points in 41 minutes. And we know this is a big year for him, a contract year for him. And now that Rozier is back in the mix and he was hot. He hit 8 threes, including the dagger. And you watched late, there was kind of a my turn, your turn type of thing. Bridges had an isolation, then Terry, then Melo. And I think that they may have some growing pains establishing the pecking order, because you've got young guys that are looking to get paid and establish themselves in the league. And again, there's no clear alpha yet. We know LaMelo's the star and it's eventually going to be his team, but I'm curious to see in late tight game situations where they go offensively. But again, it makes them dynamic. You got Hayward, you got Rozier, you got Melo, you got Bridges. And so that's good. They can be dynamic, but at times now it's not as definitive.